Hello, friends. I started playing Dota in 2014, 10 years ago. Back then, the game was completely different, with many things being much simpler than they are now. And the players were different too. But whether it was back then or now, the main question that interests people is how to increase their MMR, why their win rate is stuck at 50%, whether there is a 50% system in Dota that prevents you from climbing, and so on. Personally, I never had such questions. In 2015, I reached my first 4,000 MMR, and in 2016, I reached 5,500. All it took for me was watching a few instructional videos on YouTube and a lot of replays of professional players to understand the basic patterns of winning in Dota. My maximum MMR now is around 7,000, and I haven't taken MMR seriously for a long time. But since this question is so popular among people, today I will try to provide the most genuine basis on how to climb out of low MMR and achieve the rating you desire. Hopefully, this video will be useful to someone. I'll start by saying that Dota in 2024 is not a solo game. If you've been playing long enough, you probably remember how it used to be enough to pick a single hero like Slark or Templar Assassin, get 20 kills and have 0 deaths, and easily finish the game in 25 minutes. Most players can't find enjoyment in such games, so now the game heavily relies on teamwork. Valve has balanced this through economy, streak systems, balance, glyphs, and much more, which I will elaborate on later. It's important to understand that Dota is evolving, and in order to not stay behind, you must adapt to the current pace of the game. So let's get straight to the point. The first thing you need to understand is that if your goal is to increase your rating, you should pick strong and current heroes. Most players who enter Dota have a mindset of, I will pick Pudge, Techies, or Rubik and have some fun. Approaching the game with this mentality, these people cannot have any influence on the outcome of the game. Hence, their win rate remains around 50%. After all, if you don't influence the game, you're just going with the flow, and victory will depend on a strong player on the map who picked a powerful and current hero. I suggest you reconsider this approach and become a player who has a 100% influence on the game. First of all, you must understand that the roles where you can have the most impact on the game are mid or carry. No matter how strong you are as a support, I'm sure you have experienced situations where your carry cannot use their abilities correctly, resulting in all your efforts going to waste. In order to not be dependent on chance, we must choose a role that everything depends on. So who should you pick? There are 2 effective types of mid laners. The first is heroes who can make a lot of impact on the map, allowing you to win team fights. Even if your team is weak, you can balance it out with your impact. Examples of such heroes are Tinker, Queen of Pain, and Lina. These heroes have active abilities and can constantly help the team. So with the right actions, you will have a 100% influence on what happens on the map. But these heroes have a downside. Their task is to create impact, but they themselves are not strong late carries. So if your carry is very weak, they can ruin your impact, and there is a chance of losing the game. This is why there is a second type of mid heroes that I prefer. These are solo heroes who are not dependent on the team because they can farm a lot of gold on the map, they can solo kill enemies, or they have good late game potential. Examples of such heroes are Alchemist, Lone Druid, Clinks, and Arc Warden. There are also Meepo and Visage, but for most players, they are something they don't understand, so I won't focus on them seriously. I will just say that in reality, these heroes are not that difficult, and on my channel, you can find a detailed explanation of how to quickly start playing Meepo or Visage. The links will be in the description. As for the carry role, your hero should be strong in the lane. They should make a lot of impact on the map, and ideally be independent from the team, meaning they should be able to make solo kills. Examples of such heroes are Spectre, Weaver, and Slark. Heroes that, in my opinion, should not be picked are Faceless, Void, and Terrorblade. These are heroes that require a truly late game and some space. Of course, if you are an experienced player, you can win on any hero. But our goal is to have a consistently good win rate, which will help us learn something new. Therefore, I advise you to focus on simple and circumstances-independent heroes. As for the other roles, if you still want to play as a support or offlaner, I advise you to pick heroes who are strong in the lane and can make an active impact in team fights. Examples of supports are Ogre, Dazzle, and Shadow Shaman. In the offlane, Legion Commander, Centaur, or Wraith King would be good choices. Legion Commander is an ideal hero for map control in the offlane. She is strong in lane, can initiate fights, and has late game potential. Wraith King with Aghanim's Scepter is a hero that can win almost any team fight and is also easy to play. He is hard to kill twice, making him a great hero to improve your ranking. So, you have chosen the role you want to play. But that's not enough. What do you do next? You have to learn how to play that hero well and have a perfect understanding of their strengths, tricks that will help you perform better than others, and what their role is on the map and so on. All of this is called macro play. It is important to choose just a couple of heroes and focus on them. You won't be able to improve your ranking by picking random heroes every game. You should approach this process more consciously. In my opinion, the most effective plan to improve your skill is to learn to play a couple of strong heroes, raise your ranking with them, and then through experience gained at a higher rank, you will learn to play other heroes correctly faster. When you play at a low ranking, you won't see how to play correctly because the players around you will be doing random actions and you won't have a clear understanding. The most effective way to learn is by watching games of professional players or high MMR players. Just search Hero Name Dota 2 Pro on YouTube, and you will be able to watch matches of the strongest players on the planet. Watch their gameplay, take note of their builds and ability upgrades, pay attention to interesting moments they make on that particular hero, and in general, learn from them. Ideally, after watching a replay, you should try to replicate it in your own game. It may not work on your first try, so analyze your mistakes after the game and see how the pro player handles the situation where you died or made a mistake. For example, in 2016, I climbed the first 5,500 MMR by watching replays of Artazi playing Alchemist and Badman playing Spectre. I simply replicated their gameplay, and over time, my understanding of macro gameplay improved as a whole. In reality, this is how it works. When you climb the MMR ladder, you subconsciously understand what actions you need to make on the map to secure victory. And this applies not only to your heroes, but any heroes. For instance, if I were to play a hero on low MMR that I haven't played much before, like Ember or Queen of Pain, I would likely win with a high chance because I understand how the gameplay of these heroes should look, since I faced them at a higher MMR. In addition to replays, you can also watch high MMR streamers, which is more interactive because you can immediately ask them questions and receive answers. Okay, so you've chosen strong heroes and learned how to play them. What else do you need to understand for victory? Your mindset is crucial. You may have noticed that if you lose a couple of matches in a row, the likelihood of winning the third match is extremely low. This is because your mood is already spoiled, and you'll get angry at your teammates, projecting past defeats and failures onto the current game. In such cases, I advise taking a break, for example, playing a couple of turbo matches instead of ranked to practice a specific hero and relax, or simply stepping away from Dota for a while. It's important to understand one thing. You'll increase your MMR the most when you're confident. This state of mind is reinforced by victories and proper actions. For example, when you see that you're outplaying the enemy mid laner on your lane, the rest of your game will become much easier. It is important not to give in to emotions and to know when to stop. In Dota, there is an element of excitement and a desire to make up for losses, but you need to understand for yourself whether your mindset at the moment allows you to win, or if you will just waste your nerves and lose points. In general, the secret to success in discipline and awareness, I think this is an obvious thought. Another important point is teamwork. In Dota tips, there is a great phrase: be careful not to make more enemies than the 5 you are already facing. Perhaps this is the most useful advice in Dota. The thing is, Dota is quite a stressful game, as a lot depends on the random 4 people who end up on your team. And to a large extent, your behavior will influence how players behave towards you, whether they listen to your calls and commands, or if they get offended and deliberately AFK. The main idea here is to be smarter. Never yell at someone, do not blame them for anything. Your goal is to do what is necessary for you. So try to delicately tell a person what they should do. People in Dota will never accept rudeness unless you are a popular streamer. Therefore, behave appropriately. If a person is inadequate, just mute them and play with the rest. The secret to victory is to do everything that depends on you. If you are a good player in the long run, you will rise up, while the ruiner from your game will stay in the same place. In addition to this, it is important to understand the current economy. Dota now favors newcomers, as it allows for comebacks even against heroes with a kill streak. If you kill a player with 20 kills and 0 deaths, you have a high chance of winning because you will get the necessary resources for a comeback. For example, if you see that the enemy mid-hero has killed your mid laner several times in solo, all you need to do is gang up on them once. And as a result, your mid laner will be able to catch up in terms of gold and level with the enemy. This is the basis of the current Dota. So make calls to your allies for conscious actions more often, for example, to gather as 5 and kill an enemy hero with a kill streak. Most often, at a low ranking, people know how to press buttons, but they have no understanding of how to move on the map. So, there is a high probability that the enemy carry will make a mistake and go too deep into solo. It is important to be prepared for this. There is also one thing that low MMR players don't understand: the ability to be active on the map. I often notice that people, after winning a fight, continue farming the jungle and doing their own thing, without capitalizing on their advantage. The correct action after winning a fight is to take Roshan or take enemy towers, seizing enemy territory. The ability to show initiative is the main skill of a strong player. And the most important advice, which may seem strange to you, but think during the game, be aware. Try to truly understand what is happening on the map. There are always many opportunities for maneuvers. Dota is not much different in complexity from chess, as cliché as it may sound. Notice patterns, think about where the enemy is. Constantly ask yourself, what can I do on the map to improve my team's situation? You must differentiate yourself from a person who mindlessly enters the game and performs template actions, as such a person will always remain at the same rating. But most importantly, friends, never give up. Even if you lose a game, the right attitude towards it is to think, I gained experience from this game that will help me become better. In any case, by making the right actions, you will increase your rating in the long run. Learning something new from each game and becoming better is the most correct mindset. Thank you for watching. I hope the video was useful to you. Have good games and achieve all your goals. See you.